Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of GameSpark. Today is episode 7, and I have yet another awesome guest here to talk about games. If you could please introduce yourself, go for it.
Hey, everybody. I'm Martin Luther Bling. I used to stream on Twitch, and I don't know. Yeah.
Life
Someday I might stream again,
someday.
but
Well, Martin has been a member of my Twitch community for a very long time, and he is a delight to have when he is not insanely busy. And I am very grateful that despite his busy schedule, he was able to carve out some time to talk about games. So we're going to dive right into it. Let's start with our first question, or with my first question, I guess. What is your earliest gaming memory?
I think my earliest gaming memory is being at my cousin's house. We were staying with them for Christmas and playing some Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt on the original Nintendo. And yeah, I thought it was amazing. Wanted to play video games. We never got consoles. But one year for Christmas, I think like the next year, I ended up getting a old chonker Game Boy.
Yes!
I had it in red. All my friends had the gray one. This is the original Game Boy, but in red.
You know what? I don't think I even knew it came in red.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought they didn't come out with colored Game Boys until Game Boy Color.
Yeah, so I had this guy. I got, I think it was Donkey Kong Land and a couple other games, but I played the heck out of Donkey Kong. And then Game Boy got, that was the first game system that I owned. And then several years later, I ended up getting a Nintendo 64.
Nice. That is one of the ones I never actually owned.
I think the N64 had like amazing games, and for a kid my age that would get a game for my birthday and a game for Christmas, and like that's it. There were plenty of games. 2 a year is basically.
Okay, so where does your birthday fall? Is it close to Christmas or is it far?
No, it's like even split.
Okay.
June 27th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So you got like a game in June, and then you played the heck out of it, and then
I played it all summer break.
Yes. Oh my god.
And then yeah.
What color was your N64? Was it gray, or was it one of those like see-through ones that everybody?
Another room.
You do?
No, it's the. I can grab it if you want. It's
entirely up to you.
No, it's the classic.
Okay.
Black one.
Oh, black. That's right. It did come in black. I totally forgot because we borrowed a gray one. I can't even.
Yeah.
I just remember the gray one, and I remember that weird like see-through purple that was really cool.
I want to get a translucent purple shell for my Steam Deck. That's on my wish list. We'll see if Santa's good to me this year. If I've been a good boy.
If you've been good. To follow up after that, what would you consider your spark game? What is the game that got you just immediately hooked on video games and you just immediately knew you loved them?
Well, I feel like it came in phases.
Okay.
So like the first game that really sucked me in that I put a lot of hours into was on this guy, Pokemon Red.
Okay. I've never played a Pokemon game, so
I played a lot of Pokemon Red.
Okay.
Squirtle Gang.
Okay. I don't know any of the Pokemon. I do know who Squirtle is. That's not true.
Okay.
I do know who Squirtle is.
So yeah, I put a lot of hours into that. RPGs are great value for kids that only get a couple games a year.
Oh yeah, hands down.
And then I don't know, probably something on the N64. Like I played a lot of Mario Kart 64, but I feel like I didn't identify as a gamer until like GameCube, Xbox generation.
Okay.
So it was probably like Halo, Halo 2, those games.
You were one of those.
Like once I got on those, I was like, okay, video games are awesome.
I love these.
And yeah, then like all my allowance money, all my, you know, summer job money went into video games from like that point.
I feel like you either started out as an Xbox person or you started out as a PlayStation person. Am I wrong in thinking that? Because I don't think
Nintendo's kind of like off in its own space.
Yeah. Because I don't feel like people had both. I feel like you either had a PlayStation or you had an Xbox.
Yeah, we would get like because you've got some overlap, but if you're gonna do two consoles, you have a PlayStation and a Nintendo, or you have an Xbox and a Nintendo.
Yeah, I agree with that. We went the PlayStation route. We never owned an Xbox. I
was all about Halo, and then I like the offset sticks on the controller.
Oh.
I prefer the controller layout.
Okay. All
on
right.
Xbox controllers.
I remember playing Halo for the first time and being like, what is this ridiculous setup? What is this dual stick? Oh, I was terrible at it. I'm still pretty bad at Halo, but
you go back and like try to play GoldenEye or like the original Doom where it's, you know, you move forward and then right and left, look left and right, and it's so hard to go back and play like those very old school shooters.
I don't think I have played GoldenEye recently. I did a stream once where Ander, my husband, and I played GoldenEye together, and it was my first time ever playing GoldenEye on Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh.
I don't know. So you were like a Halo. You were a Pokemon and a Halo.
Yeah, I'd say like probably those two really got me hooked on it.
Okay. Excellent.
Those are very different games.
Yeah, they are. They're very, very different games. But Pokemon is a common one, I've heard. I've never played a Pokemon game before, but I have played Halo, but I played Halo really, really late. I played the original Halo after there had already been a release of like 3 or 4 Halos.
Yeah.
So I was really late to that game, but that's because I didn't have an Xbox.
Did you start with the first one?
Mm-hmm. It's the only one I've ever played. I have yet to play a Pokemon game, but those are 2 great games to be Spark games. I mean, there's a reason those are popular. Okay, so my next question is, what was the very first game you beat all by yourself?
I think it was probably Pokemon.
Okay.
It either would have been that or Super Mario 64. Those were similar time frame, so one of those two. I think it was probably Pokemon.
Did Pokemon release when the N64 was out?
Let me look. Yeah, it came out in 98.
Wow. Okay.
And I probably got my N64 like 96 or 97.
That Pokemon has always seemed like a relatively new thing to me, but it's not. It's been around for a long time.
It was original Game Boy.
I guess that's true.
I think the Game Boy Color might have been out by then.
Wow.
But it was...
I had no idea.
Game Boy Color released.
Now, does Pokemon have like an end boss type situation, or is it more like
it's kind of like a gauntlet where you have to go through and defeat several trainers?
Okay.
So
kind of like a rush, kind of like a boss rush, trainer rush.
Rush? I don't know what you mean by rush.
I've heard the term rush, where like so take like the end of Mega Man, where there's just like boss. Have you never played Mega Man before? Oh,
no.
I played Mega Man for the very first time like last year, and it was awful. It was so hard.
I'm so bad at those. I mean, I've I've played probably 20 minutes of Mega Man.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they're brutal.
those like 2D shooters,
Mm-hmm.
side-scrolling shooters are so hard.
Yeah, they're so hard and they're so unforgiving. And they have like boss rushes at the end where like you go through and you have to rebeat every single boss in a row.
I mean, I was really bad at Pokemon. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand. Like, I knew some of the strengths and weaknesses of the different types, but I didn't know like.
Kind of just button mashed your way.
Yeah, well, it was like just grinding
Yeah.
and training my Pokemon till they're so overpowered that I just went in and bulldozed everyone at the end.
There's a really nice, that's a nice feeling though. That can be a really nice feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a kid, just being super
Right.
overpowered. Okay, so Pokemon and what was the other one?
Super Mario 64.
Okay, another one I haven't played.
Yeah.
N64. Okay. Okay, my next question for you is what are, and I know this is kind of a hard one, but what are your top 5 video games of all time?
What?
I sent you this list of questions.
Your list said 3.
Oh, did it say 3?
Yeah.
Okay, my list said 3? What? You know what?
Only did.
Whatever, man. It can be 3. Do 3.
Well, okay. I'll say, top 3 in no specific order. I'll do 3 franchises.
Okay.
And we can include multiple games
Okay.
if we need to get to 5.
We don't have to get to 5. It's fine.
Okay. So Halo.
Okay, like original Halo. Or no, the franchise.
Halo 1 and 2.
Okay.
Halo, the original Halo was like blew my mind for what video games could be, and then Halo 2 adding in online multiplayer was just
Okay. I've never
sunk
played
a
Halo
lot
2,
of
but
a lot of hours into Halo 2 multiplayer.
did you have like online friends that you played with?
Yeah, and also when I was in the dorms at BYU Idaho, we would we had like several people in our hall, and the dorms had Xboxes, and all the rooms had Ethernet ports plugged into the same switch. So we would have 16-player LAN parties like every weekend. Just people would open their doors and people would, come in and play Halo, and everyone's just screaming and yelling at each other.
That sounds like so much fun.
It was a blast. It was so much fun.
I missed out on those days.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds like so much fun. Wow.
We would stay up like all night Friday playing Halo because we were nerds. And then Saturday morning we would go get breakfast, and then
Where would you go get breakfast?
At the like cafeteria.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say like Denny's or something, but
no, we're poor.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And then we go back to our dorms and sleep till like 4:00, and yeah.
And then would you do it all again Saturday night again?
No.
Oh, okay. So it was just
there probably were weekends where we did it again on Saturday, but
okay.
Most weekends it was Halo was a Friday night thing, and then we'd go try to be social or do something on Saturday.
Got it. Okay, Halo. Yeah. Halo 1
Halo,
and 2.
BioShock.
Oh.
Only on there.
I've only played the first one.
First BioShock and BioShock Infinite. BioShock 2 is cool. I like the gameplay, but the stories of BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite. BioShock 1 was probably the first time where I felt like my choice in a video game really had a big impact on the story, and it was the first time where I felt like my actual conscience and values played a role in how I played a video game, which was really cool to me. So Yeah, those BioShock games, 1 and Infinite, and then the original Mass Effect trilogy. For similar
Ooh, that's
reasons.
another one I have not played yet, but I've heard great things
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, so it's space RPG with really cool story. For me, I'd say like the gameplay gets progressively better throughout the trilogy, and the story. I feel like 1 has the most cohesive standalone story, but throughout the whole trilogy, really interesting story, and that's another one where your choices in the game really change what can happen. A lot of people were disappointed with the ending of the third one. I didn't mind it, but those Mass Effect games are definitely up there.
Those are your top franchises? You don't have any more to add?
I have others, but I think those 3 stand above the rest for me.
My next question for you is, do you think you can come up with a video game that has impacted you the most?
I would say those 3.
Those 3
That
franchises? Okay, all those. Yeah. Those impact. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. I got something stuck in my throat and I'm coughing and now it looks like I'm crying. Okay, so my next question for you is, have any games made you cry?
I'm famously not a crier. Too much toxic masculinity in my life growing up. I don't know, too much sports. My wife hates that I don't cry. And I've definitely had some strong emotional responses to playing games, but none that have made me shed tears.
Actually, like, opened the floodgates.
Yeah. Should I share some of those?
Sure.
Well, definitely BioShock and Mass Effect that we've talked about. Just some of the story notes in there. Have you played Firewatch?
No, but I have it downloaded. I own it now.
That's another one. The guy is a husband, and there are some things in there that are like difficult.
Everything changes when you get married and when you have kids.
Right.
Everything changes.
Yeah. I'll just say that. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay.
I did not play The Last of Us, but I watched like a YouTube movie version where they take all the story and gameplay that's important to the story and all the cutscenes, and that was like that, and also the show, just very, punch you in the heart.
That's why I can't play it. Why I won't play it.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a good game.
It is not a Susie game. It's too bleak. It's too sad. It's too gross.
I'd say Horizon is on that list for me, just as you're finding out how they got into that world.
It's very thought-provoking. It's such an interesting...
all the stuff humanity went through, and
yeah. Some of the recordings you hear, and the it's pretty heavy.
So that's on there. Doki Doki Literature Club.
That's another one people have told me to play, and I have not played it yet.
I feel like that would be a crazy stream if you played it.
How long is it?
It's probably 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Have you heard of that game?
I think I have heard of that game.
It's an interesting concept where you're controlling 2 brothers and 1 stick. You're using both sticks to control them at the same time.
Oh, at the same time. Oh, wow, crazy.
And there's just the ending of that game, the way it uses the game mechanic to reinforce the story. I'm not going to say anything, but
spoilers. Spoilers.
That game had
I'm going to write that down.
Impact on me.
What's it called? Brothers: A Tale
of Two Sons. I'm sure you can get it for really cheap, probably $3 or $4.
Those are all great games.
And here's a dumb one. Last one. Also not me playing. This was my wife playing Animal Crossing. I there's this thing in Animal Crossing where people try to get like certain animals to move to their island,
Mm-hmm.
but the only way to get a new animal to come to your island is for a current one to leave. And so, like, the way she would get,
Wait. You like kick somebody off the island?
you don't kick them off the island.
I was gonna say, I thought
You
this game was wholesome.
you ignore them and like shun them until they leave on their own volition. And this was like bothering me so much that this woman that I thought I knew would do this to animals living on her island, and just like emotional warfare.
Wait a minute. Your wife did this.
Yes.
She shunned a little turtle or something. Who was
Yep.
it? The owl?
I
The dog? I don't even know.
I don't remember. I don't
That's
remember.
terrible. I didn't know such
But-
awful things could happen in Animal Crossing. I literally thought it was just all sunshine and rainbows.
It depends on if you think animals are people, I guess. And I think they're people enough to me in that game.
Oh my
When
gosh.
like like this animal that's living on her island would come up to her and like give her a present, and she's like would say, like she didn't want to. I don't remember. But I remember how that made me feel when she was trying to get animal friends on her island to leave so she could get better ones.
What did she say when you did you guys talk about it?
Yeah. He's like, oh, it's just something you do in Animal Crossing. I'm trying to get this other animal to come.
And you're
to
like,
my
no, that is
island."
not what people do. That is not what people should do. I did not know that was an option in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I 100% agree with your feelings. I couldn't do that. I won't even, I was terrified for the longest time to date anybody in Stardew Valley because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hurt any of my little digital characters' feelings because I wasn't really sure who I wanted to marry, but I didn't want to date people because I didn't want to get their hopes up, and then I didn't want to disappoint anybody. I could never do that. That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Doki Doki Animal Crossing. That's insane. All right. Well, now I'm grateful I never bought Animal Crossing for my child. Wow. Okay. Lots of emotional responses to games. I mean, this is one of the reasons I love having these conversations with people, is because everybody experiences games differently. And just because I can become a sobbing mess in the middle of, or at the end of Tears of the Kingdom or whatever, doesn't mean everybody does. And that's fine. It's just so fascinating to me to figure out what games affect people in what ways. And you've obviously had lots of emotional responses to games, and I think that's great. My last question for you is, why do you like playing video games?
Yeah, I feel like it kind of gives my ADD brain direction. Like
Okay.
being able to focus in on something. And also the fact that you can kind of take it at your own pace. Most media is very fixed. You sit down and watch a movie for X amount of time, or an episode of TV. Whereas video game, you can just kind of get lost in that world for 20 minutes or 6 hours or whatever. And yeah, kind of take it at my own pace. So if I want to just progress and play a game where it's you beat this level and move on to the next, that's one way to progress. But also other games like Horizon, where you can just go and explore some world and see what dino robots are running around, and I haven't seen that crab guy that picks up stuff and throws it on his back, and that's freaky. And so that wasn't really an answer.
would say that was an answer. It gives
Yeah.
you direction and it gives you somewhere to go for however long you want to go. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me tonight about games. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for the trip down memory lane. It's always fun to think back on. I think lots of times I forget how much I like video games, and when I have time to play games, I go and sit and look at my Steam library and just like reopen the same game as I always play. And yeah, it's good to think back about like how cool it is to have new experiences in games and how those have changed me. And yeah, just like take a chance, try a new game that I have had sitting in my library for 7 years or whatever.
You never know.